Hello，是谁的心啊？是你们的。
Hello. Whose heart is this? It's the heart of a woman of value. Recently, I took a paid course with a renowned health teacher, which lasted for 4 days and nights. And what he taught me was crucial. We need to accept our imperfections, learn to love ourselves for who we are. Now you might be thinking, how did I come to this realization? Well, it was because of a conversation I had with one of the students, who is now a great friend of mine. During the class he said, "Teacher, I really wanted to add you on WeChat, but I'm afraid of being rejected. I feel a bit insecure and end up not taking action." The teacher, with all his wisdom, responded, "That's not insecurity, my friend, that's narcissism. You're afraid of rejection, but it comes from your need to be accepted by everyone." And that was when I realized something very important. Often we hide behind insecurity or arrogance, but deep down, it's all about not accepting that not everyone is going to accept us. That made me reflect, and I realized that in many aspects I was the same. As a woman with 1.69 m in height and 140 pounds, I confess that, at certain times in my life, I couldn't accept my body. I felt pressured in some situations to dress in a way that hid what I considered to be a flaw. But I've learned that being thin is not synonymous with quality or value. Every time someone told me that I looked good, I would reply, "Can you really imagine me at 140 pounds? I saw the surprised looks and I felt powerful. That's what a teacher really does for you, they teach you to see yourself with different eyes. Recently, at a presentation, I completely changed my style. I wore black stockings, a shorter skirt and a suit, and I was loving it. Because I know who I am, and no one is going to diminish me. Yes, my legs may be thicker than others, but that doesn't lower my self-esteem, let alone my worth. And honestly, when I look in the mirror, I know I'm a woman of quality. Here at the company there are many thin women, but no one has my confidence, no one has my security. I looked at myself and said, today, I accept every part of myself. And if anyone comes to me and says, you're fat or your mouth is thick, I just smile and say, yes, I am 100% myself. And I'm fabulous like this. Because what a teacher really does for you is teach you to accept and shine just the way you are. I don't need to hide my imperfections. On the contrary, they are my strength.
我43岁。
I am 43 years old, not married and have no children. For women in my age group, many men view our romantic lives as having little value. What matters most to them is the ability to have children, and I honestly no longer have that desire. I don't want children anymore, and after much reflection, I don't feel mentally prepared to face the risks and challenges of being an older mother. Also, I never felt it was a good idea to bring a child into the world if I wasn't emotionally and mentally ready to care for them in the best possible way. Many people, including successful ones as you can see, don't have children, and it's not due to a lack of resources or affection, but for other personal and unchangeable reasons. Some even have money and status, but by their own choice they prefer not to commit to parenthood. For me, the reason is simple. When I was younger, my view on life was completely different. I never thought about marriage, and I didn't feel loneliness. In fact, I lived my life very well. However, after turning 40, loneliness became more intense. I'm not here to complain because I don't regret anything, but rather to reflect on what has changed. I wasn't prepared for what life would demand of me, and that directly impacted my decision not to have children. Now, I realize that what I lacked was emotional preparation, a deep understanding of what it means to be a mother. I can't, with a clear conscience, bring someone into this world if I'm not fully prepared for it. And, more importantly, I can't demand of myself what I'm not capable of offering. And when I think about starting to look for a partner at this stage in life, I realize that for many men, the idea of marrying someone who doesn't want children is a difficult choice to accept. They end up seeing it as something that doesn't make sense. So, instead of continuing to deceive myself and trying to fit into a social role that no longer suits me, I've decided to let go of expectations regarding marriage and motherhood. I've accepted that my life is what it is now. And honestly, I don't regret it. Instead of continuing to try to fit into a frame that society creates for women my age, I've found the freedom to live the way I truly believe is best for me. Of course, this leaves me in a solitary position, but I've already made peace with myself. If one day I find someone to share my life with, great, but I know that my happiness doesn't depend on having children or being married. My life situation may seem unusual to many people, but to me, it reflects the truth about the freedom of choice. I chose to be true to what I really want and what I feel capable of offering, without being pressured by age stereotypes, marriage, and motherhood. That doesn't make me any less of a woman or less happy. In fact, I think the opposite. It made me stronger, more whole.
I want to say something to older, single men. Stop dreaming and wake up. The most common thing I hear from you is about the 28,800 dowry. Wanting a 20-year-old woman. Or even an 18-year-old, wouldn't that be a good choice? At first glance, this seems reasonable. Saying that older women have difficulty finding a place in the market. But I ask, have you thought about whether 18 or 20-year-olds would want to be with you? Do they actually want that? Moreover, 20-year-old women, although adults, are still in college, many in their second or third year. After graduating, they still have more studies ahead. So, would they be interested in that 28,800 dowry? They probably don't value it. They have higher education. And that amount doesn't do justice to their youth. As the saying goes, everything else is secondary. Only education matters. They may be working on their master's or doctorate. And after finishing, they could work at large companies and earn a good salary in just 1 year. Some talented people can even earn that dowry money in 6 months. So older, single men, wake up. Older women actually want more. Let's stop hearing things like older women can't have children or can't have babies. Older women have many advantages over younger ones. First, they don't cause unnecessary problems, like with the daily routine. Also, they've been working for years, earning higher salaries and are more capable. If you reject older women, saying they can't have children, what's the benefit to you men? When they turn 35, they won't be able to have children anymore. So I ask, who will want to have children with you? Let's be realistic. My friend is 34. And most men can't match her salary. She earns about 15,000 per month. Some time ago she considered reducing the dowry amount. But I disagreed. I told her to wait a bit longer. Even if she gets married in 2 years, she'll still be only 36. This is the best phase of a woman's life. How can she lower her standards like that? Now there are more men than women, and women are independent with their own income. Honestly, any woman who wants to marry can do so at any time. If my friend doesn't get married in the next 2 years, when she's 36 there will be many suitors. Why? Because at 36, if she says she wants to marry and doesn't want a dowry, any man offering will be accepted. The key is simple. High-quality men are not common. So older women don't need to rush. Even if they marry and have children at 45, people live longer these days and still have a long life ahead. So I won't lower my standards because of that. Those men are simply not good enough for us. I just want to find an ordinary yet excellent guy to marry in Beijing. I'm 30 years old now, which is exactly the right age for marriage. I hope that this man is between 30 and 40 years old. Has no children, that's definitely a basic requirement. He should be taller than 1.8 meters. And earn an annual salary of over 500,000 yuan. Which is the average level in Beijing. Average? What kind of average is that? Men that excellent are considered rare talents in Beijing. And in the matchmaking circles they're even more sought after by women. You're 30 years old. About to enter the category of leftover women. And you're still being so picky about men? I've already introduced you to more than 30 suitors. Some with better economic conditions than yours. And you're still nitpicking their looks? When it's someone attractive, you complain they don't have a Beijing household registration. I think what you're saying doesn't make sense. Ma Yili said that the reason why women who can't get married stay single is because they are simply too good. And those men just aren't good enough for them. Do you really believe that? Complaining that she managed to find a younger guy to date. Can you do the same? Complaining that she's already been married, has children, and can still enjoy a stable, worry-free old age. And you? What do you have?
I really don't understand. Can you all understand one thing? The idea of high-quality older women who are still single is a false premise. Have you ever seen 10 dishes being served at the table, and the one that is left over is because it's the most delicious? When someone is older and still single, there's really only one reason for that. It's because they have an obsession with one specific criterion in their partner selection. Based on my experience, these obsessions can take different forms. One of them is the obsession with height. That is, the person must find someone who is at least 1.8 m tall, not a centimeter less. I don't know why it has to be exactly 1.8 m, but if it's even 1 centimeter shorter, the person's world falls apart. Another obsession is with education level. The person demands a partner with at least an undergraduate and graduate degree. I don't know why, but it's as if a diploma is the end of the world. If it's even a little bit lacking, no matter how compatible the person is, they're out. There's also the regional obsession, where the person insists on finding someone from a specific city. It doesn't matter if the individual is suitable in other ways, if they're not from that region, they're just not good enough. Now, you see these people with such obsessions, and when someone who fits all their criteria approaches and offers an opportunity, they say they don't feel any connection. You set these strict standards, and then you still want to have a feeling? It's really hard to find someone who fits all your criteria and also gives you that feeling. Are you really looking for a partner, or are you just trying to irritate others? Honestly, what's going on in your heads? I just don't get it. You keep saying you want to find someone, but do you really? Or are you just fooling yourselves? One thing is clear, these people with such mentalities are very stubborn. The problem is that many of them are really very ordinary people, over 30, with no car, no house, no degree, no nothing. I really don't understand where all this confidence comes from. They want a partner who's a little better than them, but it's not about expecting someone to be better at everything, it's about complementing each other. If both have different qualities, you complement each other, and that's how you can get married. Marriage, in its essence, is a trade-off of advantages, not the so-called love. The Prince Charming loves Cinderella because, deep down, she's already a princess. Now, if you don't have friends and you've never had someone supporting you, don't you realize that? I really don't get it. Anyway, if you truly want to find someone, remember what I said, don't insist on your obsession. If the person is good, and especially if they have good character, don't worry too much about height. I've never heard of a marriage ending because the man was too short. These few centimeters don't matter. What matters is compatibility, life habits, and character. After a few years of marriage, you'll realize that if you had chosen a husband based only on his status, it wouldn't have been worth it. If you choose someone with good character, you'll get pleasant surprises. Over time, you'll get along more and more. But if the criteria is just appearance, after a while, none of that will matter. Listen to what I'm saying, stop looking for actors, please. Okay, if you agree with what I said, like the video. If you disagree, we can discuss it in the comments.
Yesterday, while I was browsing Chinese platforms, I saw a video of a woman, a sort of older woman, who is 27 years old, born in 1996, and is starting to see herself as someone who might get left behind. She said that her requirements for a partner are not too high, but after seeing the requirements she mentioned, I realized that, with this mindset, she will probably end up becoming an older leftover woman. She mentioned for requirements. The first is that the partner needs to have good character, stable emotions, and ambition. The second is that they need to have at least a college degree. The third is that they need to be good-looking and at least 1.70 meters tall. And the fourth is that they need to have the financial means to pay for a down payment on a house in a second-tier city. The most curious part is that she said, "I haven't mentioned the dowry yet," as if that were a big discount, a liquidation price. She also mentioned that her job is as a programmer, and in Beijing, she earns about $25,000 a year, with savings of around $50,000. These conditions might seem decent, but why do I think she still remains single? It's simple. I decided to take a look at her page and found a video about an attempt at an arranged date with a public servant from Beijing. She reported that after they met, they both stopped communicating, and she attributed this to the fact that the man only spoke and she only listened, with no common ground to talk about. I believe she's somewhat deceiving herself. The real issue is that she probably didn't show interest in the guy, which made him not want to keep in touch. She explained that when she met him, she didn't feel a connection, and she even made comments about his appearance, saying he had a square face with a lot of acne scars, which didn't attract her. She also complained that the man carried a bus card and a wallet, saying it made him look outdated. She was basically trying to justify that he wasn't her ideal type and that she was still looking for someone with whom she felt more emotionally connected. Now, going back to her requirements, something is off. She thinks her criteria are simple and reasonable, but the truth is she is deluded. When it comes to real dating, other requirements often come up that weren't initially considered. For example, she required the man to be facially symmetrical, but at the same time criticized him for having a square face. Also, she criticized the lack of modernity in him carrying a bus card and a wallet when that wasn't even one of her requirements. The real issue is that she still doesn't know what her ideal type is. She probably never found someone she truly connected with, which would explain why she's still single. Her situation reflects what I've previously mentioned about people who take time to open up emotionally. They don't know what they really want, and this type of person rarely finds a lasting relationship. In this case, if the man had kept trying, he would have fallen into a cycle of waiting and frustration, leading to endless suffering. Therefore, if she continues like this, without clarity about what she wants, it's very likely that she will become an older leftover woman. And as time passes, the partner options will only get worse, which will ultimately worsen the situation. My message to men is, learn from this video. When looking for a partner, don't be indecisive. Don't get stuck in the vicious cycle of waiting for the ideal person and end up being a hostage to unrealistic expectations. Leave your opinion in the comments. I'd like to know your point of view. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. See you in the next video.